Let me tell you, colleagues, honor members, sorry about colleagues, honorable members. Even courts, sometimes they make a mistake. They go and make a decision which enact laws. They veer into your space, but they don't want anybody to veer in their space. This is, I'm sure you have heard of the decision on the UPDF Amendment Act. When they thought somebody was veering on their space, they guard it jealously. So each institution should guard its space, and quite jealously. But we should also have institutional independence where you don't interfere and yet you must work together. So no single arm derives its power from another. The judiciary does not give you powers. No. The executive does not give you powers. No. You don't give the judiciary powers. No. It is the Constitution that gave all of the arms of government powers. Next slide, please. This is the functional division of labor. The legislature does legislation and oversight, making laws and scrutinizing government actions. And I think the leader of opposition was very emphatic on this when he was making his comments. Oversight. Your role, basic role, you have other roles which are spelled out in the Constitution, which I'll tell you. But your role is to make laws for the good. You know, you've got a distinguished clerk, a lawyer, senior lawyer, of course. You have got the Speaker of Parliament, a very senior lawyer. Never mind what he said. I wanted to make some comment when he's here, but he has gone away. It's a model where functional overlap ensures effective governance. And I think you heard the Westminster resource person who was here and making comments. Separation is not a wall, but a system of checks and balances. Honorable members, there are many people who have this misconception, imagining like these are parallel rail lines. No, you must find a way of working together. You must find a way of working together, because the people of Uganda envisage that you work together. So don't just do things in a parallel way. It must be a well-coordinated separation, but not a system that each does his own thing on his own. Examples of institutional interdependence in Uganda. Ministers in Parliament, under Article 78. Ministers, not all of course, there are ministers who are elected members of Parliament, like the Honorable two members here, the Right Honorable Deputy Prime Minister, and then the Honorable Chief Whip. They are members of Parliament and yet they are ministers. But then there is another category who are ministers, but they are not elected members of Parliament. I saw Jane Ombadi, I think he was here. Yeah, Jane Ombadi there. Jane Ombadi is a minister, but not an elected member of Parliament. Those are what we call them ex-official members. Of course, once they come to Parliament, they are like any other MP, only they don't have a voting right. So you have the executive being part of Parliament. So that is the sort of model which is partial separation. That today, the executive is part and parcel of Parliament. The ministers who are elected have all the rights, including voting rights. Like the Honorable Ruth Acheng Ochero and the Right Honourable Rukia Nakadam. They are ministers, but they're also MPs. So they have all the rights like you who vote in Parliament, who are also elected. But then the Honourable General Mbadi does not have the right to vote in Parliament. When it is voting, he keeps out of it. And that's not because he's an officer. It is because he's not an elected MP with a constituency. You have executive legislation. The executive legislation inserts significant proportion of all bills passed by Parliament. According to our Constitution, priority of parliamentary business is given to government. And 95% of the bills you are going to consider are all executive bills. Maybe 5% or even less could be private members' bills. But 90% of all the bills will be executive initiated. So you have a law initiated by government, the executive, and you'll find it is even the ministers, relevant ministers who sign them. And once it comes to Parliament, you go through it through your relevant committees and enact a law, but it was initiated by government. Government participates again during the legislative process until it is passed. There is another legislation by executive. For those of you who are lawyers, you are going to understand one thing, that there is a provision which always gives the relevant minister powers to make rules and regulations for the implementation of a particular law. One, it is absolutely okay for ministers to make the rules and regulation to implement a particular law. What you should only guard is that the minister does not exceed his or her powers, such that also he turns out into a legislator taking advantage of that provision. So what we were trying to do is to make sure, and I think we put it in the rules, we went through amendment of our rules of procedure and we put it there, such that the ministers, when they make the rules and regulation, they should lay them on the table in Parliament, such that you have an opportunity to look through them to see, did this particular minister exceed powers? Because he might use that particular provision and he also legislates. So you need to be very careful. You give him powers to make rules and regulations to make sure that the substantive act is implemented. But those powers are not for him to legislate, because then he'll be usurping your powers as honorable members of Parliament.